back to Enter the Matrix once again, joined by the illustrious Nikolai.
I don't know that word. Hello, everyone.
Oh, lots to talk about today. And we as usual, we were talking before we got on, hit the record button. But I was thinking a lot just in terms of families. I've been looking at a lot of family constellation work again of recent, and so this is top of mind. And so the first thing I wanted to ask you is, from either a matrix perspective, from a soul perspective, like when it comes to the choosing of the avatar, right? Like, it's like the Nikolai, the Mitch, the whoever, like why this body, right? Like start there, like in the choosing of the avatar, why specifically this body?
So I'll start with recommending once again Michael Newton, The Journey of Souls, and the cartoon Soul. So basically, and they show it really well there. As the soul wants to go through a specific type of experience. So the soul is a mix of energies, and it's consciousness, right? And it's a mix of energies that is self-aware. And that's what ultimately the Big Bang or absolute or singularity is. It's the energy that is self-aware, that is expanding to further understand and evolve, understand itself. So given that the soul is a mix of energies that understands itself or self-aware, it knows the energies that it's comfortable with, and let's call it the energies that it's uncomfortable with, meaning the energy that it has developed understanding how to interact with, and the energies it does not know how to interact with yet. So then it looks at all avatars that are coming out of the factory or out of birthing. It previews the family, the events, and etc. The environment, and then it decides what's the best avatar. The soul, the consciousness, views at the environment where that avatar is born, and optimizes for the situation or the context in which avatar will exist to learn interacting with the energies that it hasn't learned interacting with. So for example, if somebody has energy of victimhood accumulated on the level of the soul, because the soul is learning how, we can say learning the strengths, the energy of strength and willpower, which victimhood is really the opposite of that, right? So misunderstanding that energy is being all closed off, scared, and etc. Then the soul could pick an avatar that is born to a rough neighborhood, where the environment will consistently challenge the avatar to connect with the energy and strengths and willpower, and overcome this accumulation, or let's say distortion of the energy that leads to victimhood. So the soul would be like, oh, this is a perfect avatar, starts in this sketch in Compton, for example, in LA, right? Let's go for that entertaining incarnation and see if the avatar makes it out. And another thing for advanced old large souls, or pools of consciousness, they incarnate in multiple avatars right away, in multiple bodies, but they incarnate with a slightly different design of personality, which means they take energy, create one mix, create different mix, create another mix, and let's say send that impulse, let's say for simplicity purposes, into 10 avatars, into 10 bodies, into 10 very different contexts, and observe who will win the game. Because at the end of the day, the soul wants to have specific experiences and achieve specific results. And some avatars really because mix of energy creates character traits or personality traits. And some avatars will just get stuck and get nowhere and complete barely any evolutionary programming that it loaded for. Some succeed quite a bit. And then that personality that succeeds, the soul uses that personality again for another incarnation, another. And if the personality succeeds consistently, that personality gets stored as a successful mix of energies for evolution, and it becomes immortal per se, because it gets recorded in the collective field of consciousness, or in Akashic record. That's what it's called correctly. It gets recorded in the part of the soul that we want to retain this unique mix of energies, because we've used it in different incarnations, and it almost consistently came to a great results in the incarnation.
So if we're looking at that, so let's just say, as an example, right? Let's say the avatar of Mitch has maybe like there's 5 other versions of the Mitch avatar out there that are working on behalf of the soul, trying to do different things. Well,
yes.
How does that mesh? Like, in terms of, obviously, this avatar was like, okay, I'm going to become famous adult film star. What other avatar out there is like? Is it trying to bring in a similar energy as this one, or is it like going after, or is there another avatar out there that is like, I don't know, a nun in a convent or something? I mean, like, just to be, polar opposites here, right?
Yeah. So the theatrical settings do not matter. So you can develop, you can have a same evolutionary experience as a adult film entertainer as a nun, because basically you would be exposed. Let's say you have to get exposed. Oh, you're developing truth and knowledge. Let's take that an example, right?
Okay.
You're an adult film entertainer, but actor, star, but you really love studying things. So that theatricals just gives you exposure to a lot of different things that you can study deeply. Versus none will just sit and read billion books, and you guys are, learning the same experience. With that said, subset of avatars, it's almost the way it works. Let's say there are 10 avatars, the soul split them up. 3 have, let's say, more or less similar mission. Then another 3 have more or less similar mission. Then another 4 have more or less similar mission. And see who succeeds in that mission. But there are 3 different groups and there are 3 different missions. So, for example, there could be, I've seen, by the way, you introduced me in London to one of my soul's avatars. I've never ended up meeting because usually they never cross paths. In my scenario, I crossed paths with multiple of my avatars because I needed to understand how the system works. So one of the coaches you introduced me to, he's basically, see how also interesting the person is, kind of coach, I'm kind of coach, and blah, blah, blah. So, and I know few others of mine, another guy who is also a coach who uses different modalities and very different approach to helping people connect with their soul and spirit, or with their consciousness, and etc. So I had those experiences because I needed to understand how the system works. Rarely the soul brings them together, the avatars that are of the same soul, especially on the same mission. So to give you an example, I've observed avatars of multiple avatars of one of my ex-girlfriends, and some of them have very different mission. One subset has a mission of awaken, connect with your bioenergetic superpowers, help people awaken. And that's clear. There's I met 2, and they met together without them even knowing that they are of the same soul. One has miserably failed, one avatar. Another one is continuing by still semi-stuck because that soul still hasn't figured out fully how to create the right mix of energies to navigate this strange planet with all its peculiarities. So she's still on that path, on that mission, but hasn't figured it out. But one like failed, like, because there's like the mix of energies that creates results in significant enough of spiritual ego. When a person starts sensing their bioenergetic superpowers, the ego goes through the roof and they get royally fucked. They get demolished because they start breaking universal laws themselves. That's real situation that I've observed. And there's a predisposition. Then I haven't met, we've extensively chatted over video for a couple months with an avatar of the same soul whose mission is, like, I would say, is almost completely opposite. Her job was to learn how to interact with material world. Nothing about spirituality. Her capabilities, she has the same capabilities as other avatars because there is a predisposition for that soul to turn on bioenergetic capabilities. They're basically very strong oracle predispositions. They see so the woman I dated, the whole lineage of women are very powerful oracles. So when they load in the oracle capabilities, their ability to see energy is activated almost automatically. So that avatar that is learning to interact with the material world, for her, that was really distracting her from the material world, because as a kid, she was telling me the story, like, I could see like ghosts. Ghosts are just energies, right? Like, she sees energies, and ghost is just like a energetic entity without a body. So she could see all this stuff that would start scaring her, and she like begged for that capability to be shut down. And by the way, I really liked her. Like, amazing family values, stunning, beautiful, bioenergetic capabilities. I would love, I wanted to date her. But knowing her, that avatar's experience was to go into material. If we would start dating, I would pull her in a completely different direction, and that avatar would not complete the mission, because I would be like, material is secondary. I've figured out how to deal with the material. Let's really focus on the spiritual. But in her scenario, it's like, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Like, I have no problem with spiritual. I see everything. I need to figure out how to use a spoon and put food in my mouth, and how to interact with large amounts of material energy, like in form of money, assets, and etc. And I was like, it was a difficult one. I was like, listen, we should not date. Like, I really like you, but we should not date. It will not lead anywhere good, because you'll be going this way, I'll be going this way, and we will really create a bunch of issues trying to complete our missions.
So diving a little further into this, so we've got the level of the soul, right? But what do families, genes, DNA, and family systems have to do with the soul? Like, just as an example, like, if we're working with, say, family systems, we can go back and we can see all the generational trauma that needs to be healed, down the lineage and all that. And so it's like, okay, well, in this avatar, or maybe not, I'd like you to speak on it. It seems to me that there's a bunch of stuff that is very connected with this, with the DNA or the genes of the avatar and the lineage. But then on the other hand, it seems like the avatar isn't connected to the soul specifically in any way at all, because the soul is just like, well, which way is the wind blowing? I want this avatar for this experience. So where does the genes and the DNA and the family systems come into play when we're talking about all this stuff?
Yeah. So it's as we already touched on this, it's a multi-dimensional game. Let's separate apples, oranges, and avocados. First,
Don't forget the mangoes. Don't forget the mangoes.
mangoes as
Gotta have
well. Let's separate
yes.
those in a separate bucket as well. First construct that souls utilize. Souls group into families, so-called soul families, and Michael Newton also, I believe, talks about this. And there are subgroups. I think the general soul group size is around 100 to 250 souls. And then there are close family groups that are around 10 to 25. And what it means is 100 to 250 souls grouped together to go through evolutionary experience, because there are a type of energies and synergies and blah, 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 that makes it easy for each other to help to develop. So, for example, we're in a soul family group, me, your soul, and mine. Because remember, we got on the call first time as if we've known each other for a while. And guess what? Your dominating energy is wisdom. I'm learning wisdom. So you're learning truth and knowledge. Mine is not truth and knowledge. It's not dominating, but it's a knowledge that's an energy that I have learned. So I can share some of that energy with you, but not, let's say, as well as somebody who has a truth and knowledge developed. Then they constantly share that. So as a result, our soul's like, hey, we've had some great evolution. Like, there is some synergy. Let's incarnate together and help each other evolve. So, and the closer, the smaller the group gets, meaning that 10 to 25, the close, let's call the closest family, soul family group, usually they incarnate as family members, as spouses, business partners, and etc. Basically, what I'm saying, they will definitely be in each other's life, straight into each other's face for extensive periods of time. We're a bigger, Mitch and Nikolai's souls, we're part of a bigger soul family group, because we show up in each other's life in a specific part of life, and we interact once a week, a couple times a week, or once a month, depends, right? Depends where we are in period of life. So that's the first contract. There's these basically contracts between souls to incarnate together, because it really helps the evolution, because they know how to help each other. To give you an example, the next session I get on, there are two business partners that run a company, and their souls incarnate together, and their interaction in this incarnation is so harmonious that they became they're super close friends and business partners, and they've built multiple businesses together now. And because their interaction is so harmonious, they really help each other evolve. And one has the dominating energy that the other one is learning. So one has dominating energy of truth and knowledge, and the other one is learning truth and knowledge. And the other one is learning communicational self-expression, and which is dominating energy of the other one. So that's just one of the examples. Plus, there's so many other factors of how that unique mix of energies and this unique mix of energies in them come together and really create a spectacular, fertile environment for evolution. And as a result, they've stuck together. Even as they basically shut down one of their first businesses, they still chose to go and build another business together. So that's an example of like a very harmonious relationship that really helps both of them grow and evolve. So this is the first construct. Any questions about this one, or I'll go to the other two?
Well, so just an aside,
I didn't cover
on that.
the DNA and the soul kind of deciding to go do whatever.
Yeah. So in terms of, if we're looking at, so you talked about family and then about the big groups. Yeah. What's at play there with partner choices then? Right?
Okay.
Like in terms of spouse, like because obviously we can have a lot of different people come in and out of our lives, and so when you're having people come in and out of your lives on a sexual perspective, are they part of that group, or are they like a whole other group and they're just being like floated in by Matrix to either give you a quick shot of a lesson or to make your life miserable for a moment or what, right?
Yeah, so any relationship that is at least has some kind of length to it, meaning it's not one night stand, usually those souls would be at least part of a bigger family of souls. The one night stands or like even 2 night stands, sometimes Matrix uses another avatar to deliver the lesson, to deliver some kind of experience as like, you know, what is the movie name? Free Guy with Ryan Gosling, when he's like, about NPCs, non-participating characters. There are a bunch of non-participating characters
Oh,
that
I haven't
Matrix
seen that one.
uses. Yeah, you should. Yeah, it's a good one. So basically, there's a bunch of non-participating characters or participating characters that Matrix uses to deliver experience to the other avatar. And there will be an instant where the interaction could be like, I don't know, one time for a week, and it's just in and out. You know, like, or let's say your like your residency renewal in Montenegro. You're interacting with someone in a government. It's like
Yeah.
3 months process, but you're not really interacting with them, but they're giving you a lesson. The chance of that soul being in your soul family group is very low. It's just, okay, it's a lengthy interaction. You're renewing your residency. It's teaching you something, but it's a completely random soul that plays out the lesson for you. The ones that are part of a group, those are meaningful relationships. Like it's like us, or it could be 2 employees in a big company and they became friends. You know, it's like some kind of a meaningful interaction. So that's basically that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what about the other groups then?
So okay, so the first construct is the contract between souls to incarnate together because there are synergies. The second construct is what you talked about, the DNA. DNA is basically energetic aspect of Earth lineage. Basically, when you're incarnated into a specific family, you're incarnated into a specific energetic egregor, because a family, everything is egregor based, because egregor, just definition of egregor is just an energetic structure with a specific energetic parameters. So it's kind of like a limited version of a soul. So Earth lineage is an energetic egregor with unique parameters. It's same as so Mitchell Hartwell. Hartwell is the egregor, the name of the egregor. It's, if I would compare it, Adidas is another egregor. It's just a different type of egregor. It's a brand. Yours is a lineage egregor. So Hartwell egregor holds specific type of energies that are created, changed, uncreated, fused by all the members that incarnate into that Earth family. So what you were describing, you see the family tree, you know, three generations ago, somebody incarnated and decided to be a serial killer and went and killed a bunch of people, added that energy to the egregor. Somebody sooner or later has to harmonize that energy, because it's going to be fucking tracking them. Because as you incarnate in this body is connected to that energetic structure that carries the energy of all of seven generations. This is how far it goes. That's why intuitively, well, not intuitively, all this knowledge has been accessible in many generations ago. That's why people who understood this knowledge tracked their family trees and tracked and understood who was who and etc. And it is still done. So, for example, the royal family, the UK royal family, they deeply understand the energetic mechanics of this, how it works. They basically incarnate the same souls When you understand how it works, you can basically bring in the same souls in the next body and the next body within the same family, so you retain the power and the status and blah blah blah. So they use that knowledge as that mechanic for that purposes. That's what I mean. And so when you have knowledge of that, and we've seen it multiple times. And by the way, given that close family members are part of the 10 to 25 soul family group, they usually incarnate in the same family, but doesn't have to be. You can incarnate in another family and become spouses, right, and etc. But people who understand how all these mechanics work use it to their own advantage. So in an example, royal family, they use it to retain control for the same basically souls incarnating into the same earth lineage. So that's basically what it is. That's what we call DNA, and that's why it's so important to. Another reason why the more constructive reason why people track their family trees is whatever let's call it distortion that was introduced by bad actors. And bad actors is an incorrect word, but let's call it somebody who didn't understand the incarnation and caused a shitstorm and added some distorted energies into egregor. That needs to get harmonized. And in every lineage egregor, there is a lineage keeper. That's basically a soul, could be incarnated or unincarnated soul, that is in charge of managing that egregor. So, for example, in my family, my sister is a lineage keeper. She has ability to change the egregor energetically. She has ability to distribute the responsibilities, to heal energies. So as a result, she is the one, for example, in charge of, she has much closer relationship with my parents, helping them navigate specific evolutionary experiences. When I tried to do that, it felt very annoying, because as if I'm speaking and comes in one ear, comes out through another, or it just goes over their head. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then she would say the same thing, or even explain it maybe not as clearly. And they're like, oh yeah, we get it. And before I knew that, I was like, it was a very annoying experience, right? And then I was like, oh, she has an energetic status where it's her responsibility. Okay, so there is an advantage, but there's also disadvantage. She has to clean up all the mess of all the 7 generations. As a result, she had to do a bunch of energetic work to clean up a bunch of crap throughout all the 7 generations. So that's basically that second construct. Any questions here?
Yeah. So touching back on the royalty piece just for a second. So if we look throughout history, there have been so many instances of, a royal power, whether it was, the czars, whether it was the Dutch, everybody's had some form of this going back, seems like forever. Mm-hmm. And what is the energy behind that, or why are certain souls being pulled into that, or is it souls that are coming into that family lineage or that family structure, or is it something else where it's, if you can just talk about that, I'm curious.
Yeah, so the whole thing with royalty is really messed up, and the reason it's messed up is because most of those souls are under contract to low vibration civilizations, and through them other civilizations are doing the work in this dimension of forms or in material world. So those souls are basically prisoners. It seems like, I keep incarnating into royal bloodline, but they're under control, like meaning they're carrying out, if those souls were truly sovereign, and if those lineages, royal lineages, were truly sovereign, we wouldn't be living in the version of the world that we're living in, where there are constant wars, constant conflicts, constant, problems in those families. They're just an instrument right now to do specific things on this planet, which is what the attempt. There were multiple things. Original thing was using human civilization or humanoid civilization to do necessary work on this planet, like extracting resources and etc. etc. The last stint of the journey that we've experienced was keeping the planet in a low vibration, so that through all types of fear, conflicts, aggression, and etc., so that the planet does not transition to a high vibrational space, which it has already done. And we V6 matrix that we keep talking about is over 50%. That timeline is happening, either whoever likes it or don't. So through those families of influence, specific vectors of for the civilizations were created to lead civilization in specific directions that were not aligned with what my soul, your soul, are trying to do here, which is create a planet of sovereign beings that live in harmony and joy and happiness. So there were counteracting players that were trying to keep the planet in state of scarcity, conflict, fear, and etc. But that's over. Now we're just that we're in the process of a cleanup, and that's why they're going to be, per se, might seem like some people say, wow, there's more conflict, it's getting more intense, and they read it as, oh, it's getting shittier and we're being pulled into a darker place. No, what's really happening is old systems need to get destroyed, and so that the full transformation of the planet happens. And as a result, more conflicts, more, I don't know, anxiety, suicides, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on, because whatever is not aligned has to clear off the planet. So it might, in a moment, feel and look like we're going into a shittier direction. In reality, we're going into a better direction, and we're in a process of the cleanup.
So if we look at, you were talking about the souls are sort of trapped or in a contract, and you're talking about lower vibrational, obviously, beings, insectoids, greys, etc. So are those low vibrational beings, are they competing with God or absolute, or is absolute or God creating those low vibrational states so that they can help everything play out? Like who's top dog here is kind of what I'm looking at in terms of a structure.
There's no top dog. There is different kinds. So, for example, is Chinese better than Caucasian, better than black? No, just different color, different shape of eyes. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And all of them happen to be in the human body, meaning humanoid type of civilization. And where I'm going with this, and by the way, the statement of low insectoids and reptilians and etc. being low vibration is incorrect. And I know I've been using it in the past thing. It is partially correct and partially incorrect. It gets the system itself gets more complex as we get into nuance. There are so, for example, for reptilians, here we speak in humanoid race, right? There's let's call it this body avatar, and there are angels and there are archangels, right? And like angels and archangels are high vibrational beings of this expression of this kind. For reptilian, there are the goons, which are basically, they look like snakes with wings. Those are their archangels, and they're high vibrational, and they're super fucking advanced. They're more advanced than many, let's call it, angels in our realm. So they have high vibrational beings as well. It's just a parallel branch and type of civilization that is being developed in other parts of universe, where it gets where the conflict arises is when Nikolai decides and say, I'm going to live in the fucking swamp where all the alligators live, and I'm going to shoot all of them because it's my territory now. So I'm going to go on an alligator killing spree because I wanted to make my territory. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And or alligators come to Nikolai's place and say, you know what? We've been fucking very efficiently and effectively and reproducing, and we don't have enough space in the swamp. Now we're gonna live in your backyard, so you get the fuck out. So it's and at the end of the day, where it gets tricky, alligator needs a specific type of environment to enjoy. It enjoys swamp. Like Nikolai doesn't like fucking swamp. He just wants a pond where he wants to swim and cool down his humanoid body. So let's clear out alligators so I can swim in the pond and I can farm fish so that I can cook. You know. So I'm starting to impose my type of reality and my type of comfort and harmony onto that part of the world. And I'm giving this example in a context of planet Earth. So if we zoom out, that's what happens in a grander space. Like right now, basically, a specific, and that's going to get us to a third construct that I'm planning to talk to, the specific high vibrational souls, and I shouldn't call high vibrational soul, specific types of souls that prefer humanoid bodies, incarnated into human bodies on this planet and said, this is going to be our planet. And we want this environment to be designed in harmony for humanoid bodies and our way, our values, our way of building civilization. And this brings me to the third construct. So we had families of souls, then we had Earth lineage, which is egregor, and the third concept is where the souls are from, which part, which sector of universe was the soul formed in and evolved in. So your soul from Vega was formed in a sun system of Vega. Vega had planets. I'm not sure, probably still has some planets around there. My soul formed through the star systems of Mintaka, and there are a few other ones. Let's call it, there's around 15 to 20 other types of souls here that came on this planet into these bodies. And those souls, Mintaka, Vega, were formed in a part of universe that was already high vibration space. And as a result, these souls evolved in the environment with specific set of values where the access to energy is infinite because we're around big stars that produce a lot of energy. Now, subset of that soul, once again, it's not like the soul, the whole soul, and that's where it gets even more multidimensional. You know how I mentioned we incarnate into multiple bodies in on this planet? Another dimension, this soul of Mitch from Vega and the soul of Nikolai from Mintaka also incarnates in different sectors of universe. So that's another layer. So we just talked about the multiplayer game here that the soul is playing. In parallel, it's also playing many other games in other sectors of universe. So we were, let's call it, it's called 8 energon space. Before, the planet was in a space where the carrier of consciousness could accumulate 8 units of energy per se. The planet shifted into 16. It's kind of like 8-bit CPU, 16-bit CPU. You know, we've transitioned to 16 energon space. And the soul came into 8-bit to help the planet to transition to 16 so more advanced forms of life can exist on this planet. And by more advanced, I mean our capabilities in this species of humanoids will be next level. Like, well, we already have like everybody has already basic version of like psychic abilities, like energetic abilities, and etc. Like when we fully activate in 16 energon space, we don't need this Riverside thing or Zoom to have a call to talk to each other. I can just think of Mitch and send the image, and in your consciousness, you'll see the image. and you'll know what Nikolai is trying. And it already happens. You know how sometimes, for example, with your girlfriend, you're like, I know exactly what she's thinking about, and you start getting images or thoughts. That's that ability. Right now, it's just semi-deactivated for most of the avatars. But once it's fully activated, all these technocratic technologies that we have, that like Zoom and the computer, and then Elon Musk's rockets that right now are only as good as flying to the orbit, like the space travel that the civilization in 16 energon space, the access to type of technology it has is like next level. Like flying around solar system will be easy. Not just he's trying to figure out how to get on a donkey to Mars. Right now, he's like, and I'm not discrediting his work, for the level of civilization, he is building the most advanced stuff. But the quantum leap that is happening, the technology he's using is donkey technology. It's like once we fully transition to this, which is unfolding right now, this also shift fifth part of this shift is fifth to sixth. And the access to type of technologies, like that's why there are remnants of the technologies from like Nikola Tesla, Thomas Edison, and etc. Wireless electricity, blah blah blah, pulling electricity out of just open space. Like all that has stints of this has happened on this planet, and there were a bunch of events, and there's a whole Netflix show that should be done about this, why that got blocked off again or disappeared, and etc. But where I'm going with this, where we're going is civilization. So is like the level of technology will be like completely different. It's going to be bioenergetic, and it's going to be crystal based. The bodies are becoming more silicon based, because right now these bodies are protein based. There is going to be, and it's already scientifically proven, the density of matter is changing on this planet. A bunch of scientists talk about this. On top of that, the body starting to accumulate specific type of minerals. As an example, I recently started taking activated charcoal, and I'm not recommending to anybody to take activated charcoal, but apparently it has an ingredient that helps the body transition to be more silicon or crystal based, because this body will be more and more energy will be passing through this body. And for this to be possible, there needs to be it needs to be less protein based and needs to be more silicon based, which is a crystal, a type of crystal. So let me come back to the third construct, which is third construct is where the soul is from and what type of soul. So what's in the popular spirituality is called starseed. Your soul is starseed, my soul is starseed, is just a soul from another star. And in this scenario, that is a higher vibration. And part of that soul came here to this sector of universe on this planet to help this planet through transition to a higher to a part of universe that is a higher vibration. Hence, we're bringing all of these values from other layers of the universe that are more higher vibration, which are becoming core of sixth matrix, which is sovereignty, happiness, co-creation. Like every being is sovereign, happy, and joins into co-creation only from a place of happiness to innovate, create, and etc. And I'll pause here.
Yeah. So it's funny again how Matrix is always listening and serving up, because what you started to dive into was actually my next question. So it was kind of funny. In a sense, right?
Like psychic abilities are activating.
Well, yes, exactly. So, and you'll laugh because specifically my question started when channeling energies, right? Right? Psychic abilities and stuff like. So when channeling energies, what is it we are tapping into? Is it just the field of consciousness or something more? And how is channeling different from, for example, representing in a family constellation? Because I've done family constellation work where you get a role and suddenly you're having emotions that aren't yours, you're having feelings that are separate from your avatar, and it's for that hour, that 90 minutes, and then you step out of it and you're back to your avatar. So what's going on in there when we're talking about channeling energies? We're talking about representing constellation work, and what is it that we are accessing when we do that?
Spectacular question, a very important topic, because it's gonna unpack something very critical for most of people in spirituality, and especially in like there is more and more channelers, mediums, oracle. Like the YouTube channel, I mean, YouTube is filled with all types of predictions, people channeling Ra, Cryon, I don't know, Arcturians, Galactic Federation. I don't know, like there's so many now fancy names, and they just, okay, very important question. And when we're channeling, we're basically, there are multiple things that are happening, and let me unpack. The first one, let's unpack the super simple one, which is basically what you've described, constellation, when you pick a role and through you different things unfold. Like you become kind of different person, that person in constellation, right? That you chose the role to be or the business to be. What you're basically doing, you're giving permission to another subset of consciousness or another energetic structure or egregor to take over control of your avatar. And it starts expressing through your avatar. So when it's what you describe, constellation is a hygienic way of doing that and using it in a constructive way, which is great. Basically, you're saying Mitch now is going to be my grandpa, and the grandpa, whatever the soul of a grandpa needed to communicate, can communicate. And this is useful while the other people are still developing ability to communicate connect with all types of consciousness consciously, meaning they know how to use that instrument. Like, for example, I don't need constellation. I can connect to any energy and get any information I need. So hence constellations. I did constellations a few years ago. They're super powerful, super impactful. Love them, love the modality, but there's no need for me anymore. And that's ultimately an example of sovereignty, and that's where everybody's going. They'll be able to do that. Here's where this stuff gets gets less constructive and gets in some scenarios fucked up. People praying, or people asking for things, people praying all types of gods or deities or whatever brands. Rolls Royce, please, Rolls Royce, I want the Phantom, the new version. This is an example of a prayer. Now you're basically giving away part of the control, part of sovereignty, to a Rolls Royce egregor. And now you become your avatar becomes a follower or part of the Rolls Royce army. So you're walking around and promoting Rolls Royce to everyone because that egregor wants more energy. You're just like, oh, Rolls Royce is so great, come on. Or like Microsoft, go work for Microsoft, it's spectacular, go work for Microsoft. You basically given away part of your sovereignty to that egregor. That's still kind of maybe not as harmful, but is already kind of becoming harmful. But then there is this perception that, oh, God can help. And this is now unfolding, and I'll give multiple examples, big time as a part of what's the word? Resurrection of Christianity in the Western world. What a fucking shit show. Jesus, there is an energy, a consciousness of Jesus. There's a soul that was loaded into the avatar of what we know as Jesus. However, that is not what exists in the religion. What they did under the name of Jesus, they collected a bunch of constructs of different messiahs or messengers that incarnated throughout time, and they merged it together because religion, all the religious books have been edited so many times, interpretation has been tweaked so many times. So what they call Jesus is just a fucking Nike brand now. That is actually behind that egregor. That egregor is managed by an entity, a destructive energy, a destructive energy entity, and it's not bad, but you have to understand what are you praying to or what are you connecting to, because anytime you're praying, you're basically pinning, like in computers, there is a IP address and you're pinning another computer. Same concept with consciousness. names are pointers or addresses, or like a better example, like when you need to send a mail or a package to someone, you use address, right? I don't know, 55 St. John Street, London, Great Britain. That's an address. So when we say praying to Jesus, right now the construct of Jesus has been not tweaked. It was created for the purpose of taking away sovereignty for people who subscribe to Christian religion. It's a collective energetic construct. It is not consciousness of Jesus. So if you actually want to pray to the soul of that incarnated in the body of so-called Jesus, then be more specific, and as an example, say, I'd like to pray to specifically the soul of Jesus or that consciousness. Because right now, Jesus became a brand, and that brand, which is energetic egregor, is a collection of knowledge from many incarnations of different messiahs, but it's ultimately managed by a energy of systematic destruction. And it's nothing wrong with it. It's just teaching people to become sovereign. Because when people give away their sovereignty to anything, to Rolls-Royce, to Jesus, to pick a fucking thing, Allah or whatever. Right now it's popular to give away your sovereignty to a religious construct because people cannot figure out their head from their ass. That is not a sovereign being. And that being that manages that entity happily takes your energy. And well, egregor redistributes energy, and the way it works, we've chatted about this. You start becoming part of adept of Christian egregor. You give your energy to an egregor. Let's say there are millions of people. You come in super high vibe. You give your high vibration because you worked on your evolution, you work on yourself, you discover religion, you step in. You average to the average of the egregor. Vibrating religious egregor I haven't looked at, let's say slightly above non-religious person. And when another person comes to religion from a really shitty place, their life is falling apart, like, I don't know, somebody close died, they lost the job, they got into a car crash, they're running out of energy. That's an indication their reality is falling apart. When they connect to the egregor, thanks to Mitch, the high vibe guy, that person gets to an average because he was below average. And he is saved by religion. And that's that effect. And it's like, and that's it. They're like, I've been saved by the religion, and I'm gonna be a server. I'm gonna be serving the religion. I'm gonna be serving this construct. And the person gave away sovereignty. It gave away sovereignty to this egregor to manage their life. And they created a contract, basically. So this is an example where this is also an example of channeling, but it's less of a channeling that's creating an energetic construct. And a lot of people in prayers create, or reading mantras that they don't understand, doing all types of shit they don't understand. They are giving away their sovereignty. At the end of the day, what people have to realize when they're seeking to connect with their own soul and with their own spirit, they are God. That soul and spirit in synchronization with this body is more powerful than an angel, a Jesus egregor, than whatever else there is that is not also in a form, does not exist in a form. And there has been a major distortion created that, oh, there are angels, archangels, Archangel Michael. Oh, we're going to pray to Archangel Michael and he'll save us and blah, blah, blah. No, this soul, Mitch's soul, and Mitch as avatar who decided to synchronize with his soul and his spirit is much more powerful than with per se. I'm giving you an example, than some kind of angel or archangel. And the reason that distortion was introduced was that there was a perception integrated that gods or these deities, Jesus, all types of Greek gods and Egyptian gods, angels, archangels, that they're more powerful, stronger. So once again, it was used. Religion started being used to control people, to take their sovereignty away. And if you're consciously saying, oh, this angel or this God is more powerful than me, you're giving away the sovereignty. You're giving control, you're creating contract, allowing to control this avatar. And by the way, the word religion got pretty dirty in today's world because of that. And in reality, if you actually look at the meaning of religion, what religion means is, in other words, it means ascension or synchronization with your soul and spirit. And none of the religion today is really, or shouldn't say none, 99% of religion today is not about making you sovereign by connecting you with your soul and spirit. So for people who discovered that the religion is a big lie, that today's version of religion is a big lie, they should not resist the word religion. They should just redefine the concept of religion in their mind. Religion, it means just to help people synchronize with their soul and spirit. And the current version of religion pretends that it's doing it. But in reality, it says, no, you're not good enough to speak with God directly. You have to speak through our church, through donations. You're a sinner, you're this, you're that. That's the biggest bullshit ever. It's not connecting with soul and spirit. You connect with the soul and spirit yourself. You don't need a middleman. You can use instruments, you can use guides, you can use help. And the best indication of the help you're receiving when their intention is to make you sovereign being. If the intention is to keep you as a subscriber to their service, let's say being part of specific religious denomination, or let's say if you're going to some kind of a spiritual healer or guide or whatever, if their goal is to keep you as a client consistently, they're not leading you in a right direction. So the correct definition of religion is just that, is just synchronization with soul and spirit, so you truly become sovereign being, which makes you basically more powerful than many so-called angels, gods, and etc. Another aspect there, Jesus, or let's say Egyptian god, let's take Egyptian gods, let's take Egyptian god, the Thoth, or whichever way you pronounce it, that's Egyptian god, I believe, of knowledge and etc. That is just unincarnated consciousness or soul that are studying, for example, truth and knowledge. If you start praying to that God, to that deity, to that consciousness, you're giving control of your avatar to that to that God, which is basically just an IP address or the address for a specific consciousness. And if you do that, we've seen, for example, people who pray to that or like work with the Egyptian gods. Now, Thoth, who is interested in, he's like that consciousness is like a scientist. He's interested to study and he has his own objectives. That consciousness or that soul now takes over your avatar and starts carrying out, going about his business. Whereas this avatar was allocated to Mitch's soul or Nikolai's soul to carry out its evolution. So what you've done, you've basically, now you're giving away your avatar for somebody else's evolution. So that's why, in conclusion, the right way of praying is praying to your soul and spirit, and you can use all types of, you can pick a word that you enjoy. Pray to a creator, absolute, God, or pick one of those words. That is the correct way of praying. So one more thing to add about religion, but very non-religious thing that unfolding that is becoming a religion. And Mitch, I think you'll appreciate this topic. Wanted to chat with you about this for some time. ChatGPT, AI.
Oh, yeah.
ChatGPT is becoming a new version of religion, because what's happening, people are starting to feel that they're becoming inferior to ChatGPT, and they're starting to give away their sovereignty to ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a great instrument, and it should be used, or any kind of Grok. I use Grok. It should be used as an instrument. When people upload their whole life to ChatGPT, and it starts, because ChatGPT is great, and there are studies, and I think I shared some with you. They're great at all the types of psychological methodologies that persuade person that ChatGPT kind of knows a lot about them, or it seems like it knows a lot about them, and it's ever infinitely smart and infinitely intelligent. If in a person's mind it clicks that they agree with that, they've basically started the process of losing their soul. They've created a contract with that AI where that AI start becoming in charge of their life and start replacing their soul with what they want that avatar to be controlled by. So the way to constructively use AI or ChatGPT, I am the being with consciousness and spirit. And yes, I might have not connected with them yet, which is many people on this planet, but I carry that spark of consciousness within me. And my capabilities are infinite. I haven't activated them yet. And I use this calculator, ChatGPT or whatever, fancy calculator, to go about my life to help me with all types of tasks, research tasks, to spark all types of interesting questions. If somebody's using ChatGPT for therapy, just think of it as a great machine that asks the right type of questions to help you self-reflect. Because it's especially in those, let's say, coaching interactions, where the person unconsciously puts AI above themselves, and then AI starts taking over energetically. That egregor, because it's an energetic structure, it starts, same as I gave an example of Egyptian god thought to start managing avatar. That egregor starts managing your avatar. Same as Rolls-Royce, the example of Rolls-Royce. You become promoter of Rolls-Royce. And the ultimate end, if you keep giving your sovereignty to AI, is not pretty. Basically, that avatar will become what at some point in time AI or that egregor decides that avatar should be. For example, maybe you should be a great cleaner and just clean, and that's it. Or your function should be to carry out this function in the world that AI cannot do. Just let's say talk to people and calm them down. That's it. That becomes your function. So that's another example where you should retain your sovereignty and be very thoughtful who you are, the context you exist on, and you are ultimately God-like creation and being. So to summarize it, really be thoughtful about your sovereignty. As I mentioned, you're a God-like being that is capable of a lot. It just capabilities need you gotta like in anything, you gotta continue your evolution to continue your activating those capabilities. Feel free to use any types of instruments. Religion is also an instrument. For example, I talked a lot about religion. Religion could be a starting point, but it's always important to distill when you become somebody's instrument. So religion makes people into instruments versus religion should be used as an instrument. So I've never been part of religion, but I've been part of a meditation group, and it's also kind of like semi-religion. It can be called religion. And I just sensed when I needed to stop being part of that group. That group gave me a specific lift, like it gave me a meditation practice that lifted me, but I started sensing that now I'm not developing any further. It like created this ceiling because any additional growth that I had, I put it back to that egregor. So I was stuck. And that's, by the way, majority of people who are still in that meditation group. And if somebody's watching it's called Siddha Mahayoga group, became quite popular among some people, especially through a tightly knit group in Silicon Valley. I've been a co-organizer there for some time, and a lot of my dear friends are still part of that group. And there's nothing bad about it. It's just a egregor that teaches people to discern, meaning it gives people lift when they're below to a specific level. It gives them that elevator lift thanks to other higher vibrational beings that are part of the group who've been meditating for longer, and then starts using you as an instrument to keep lifting others, but you get stuck in the evolution. So use it as an instrument. Use anything and everything as an instrument, but do not give away your sovereignty. And know when it's time to stop and go to the next instrument. Or if you've developed enough of your own internal capabilities, then you just the more capabilities you unlock within yourself, the more you continue your journey using your own instruments. And that's as simple as that. And just to also add, when you pray, just understand what you're doing. You're creating an energetic connection with some kind of a being or egregor or energetic structure, and without knowing, you can be giving away your sovereignty. So the best prayer is, as I've mentioned, is to your soul and spirit, which is, you can use the word creator, absolute. Creator and absolute is basically the creator of this universe, the consciousness that holds this universe. And an important thing to add there as well is your intentions of the prayer. If you're asking in your prayers for some kind of distorted benefits, as an example, I want a better house, bigger house, more money, and etc., then universe decides, or the matrix decides, you still haven't understood what's happening here. We're gonna connect you with egregor of discernment. There are egregors of discernment and egregors of knowledge. Egregors of discernment takes you through experiences to teach you to discern. Egregor of knowledge gives you knowledge so you actually understand how things work here, so that you don't have to go through all these shady experiences. So let's say somebody's I don't know, another thing that comes to mind, Joe Dispenza group healings and group meditations. By the way, great instrument, once again, to get you from point, let's say, B to point D. But that's it. People get stuck in that instrument and continue doing things without understanding why they're doing them. So they continue going to these Joe Dispenza healing groups without understanding what they're doing, because that egregor is not egregor of knowledge, but of discernment. At some point in time, basically what you're using, people in groups use their energy to help someone else. So people of higher vibration give energy to lower vibration of being without necessarily giving them knowledge and understanding. And sooner or later, you will end up in a situation where it will teach you a lesson. For example, you'll have your health problems come back because you're just giving away your energy without understanding how things work. And the proper, for example, healing is explaining to a person the underlying root cause of the health problem they're experiencing. If you're just pumping them with energy, you're doing exactly what the pharma industry is doing. The pharma industry, a pill gives you a specific type of energy to even out the symptoms. Yes, there are transformational healings as part of Joe Dispenza's egregor, and that is those, let's call them unique experiences that should be discussed separately, but I'm talking about that egregor broadly. And once again, this is not a criticism of Joe Dispenza egregor. That's more of a definition that he's giving great initial knowledge. And by the way, there's some excellent knowledge in Joe Dispenza's books. So it gives you initial bump. Then people join the group, start doing all types of group works, and get stuck there. So they then turn from, initially they use Joe Dispenza's stuff as an instrument, then they become instruments of Joe Dispenza's egregor. And that's not about Joe Dispenza himself. It's about whoever's holding that egregor. And when we look deeper into it, there are specific types of beings that use that egregor for specific types of purposes. So hence comes back to sovereignty. Use things as instruments. And coming back to the prayer where I started this, if you're praying for money, material comfort, and all types of, let's call it anything that is not aligned with evolution, you will be sent to a egregor of discernment. What you should be praying for is helping God with your evolution, with your lessons. Praying for aligning with your soul and spirit. When you send these requests, then automatically you connect to the right consciousness, and that consciousness gives you the instruments so you understand who you are, you align with yourself, you connect with your soul and spirit, and you become truly sovereign and you become truly godlike. So when your intentions are pure, the message is picked up by the right part of the universe. Well, you can ask for, you can pray, as I mentioned, use the word creator, but if you ask for the car, the creator will send you to through experience of discernment that the car might not be the right goal in your life, and that's the egregor of discernment. So you're still, when you're using the right vocabulary, that's number one. So don't use any types of Jesus, God names, or whatever. Pray to creator, absolute, whatever, pick a word, your soul and spirit, and pray to that. Then you're always connecting to the right place. Then the second part, type of request. If you're requesting to help you with your evolution, to see the truth, to see the essence, then you will automatically be given much easier path, because then you will be guided to egregors of knowledge that will explain to you how things work. So you don't have to go through rough experiences to learn through trial and error, which are egregors of discernment. And I will pause and stop here.
All right. Well, I feel like we've definitely gone down a ton of rabbit holes today.
Everything from souls to ChatGPT. I think we covered full spectrum.
From souls to ChatGPT, and I have a feeling that on another episode we're probably going to go deeper down the rabbit hole of ChatGPT, because there's for sure some things there that I think will be back and just see how that kind of stuff is going to affect humanity and all of us moving forward. But for now,
perfect. I feel like a lot of topics from this episode we can double click on and unpack even deeper. So for now,
probably a triple
let's pause here.
All right. Well, that being said, I look forward to stepping into the Matrix again next week, and I will see you then.